all guilty. Diana was murdered for getting pregnant by Dodi. She told me Charles and Philip wanted rid of her. Charles wanted her dead to marry the crocodile Camilla. Prince Philip is a Nazi. His real name is Frankenstein. Tony Blair and the security service were parts of plot. Timur, I'm exhausted. That's a long list there. Ayo, is there any truth to any of these? Now, I'm not saying you may have seen these heavily filed away paper in deep vaults at the bottom of MI6, but he's making some very serious accusations. He's waited a long time to do this. Do you think it's been worth it for him?
For him personally, he's been grieving, and he's been going through the grieving process itself. It may appear a bit strange to you and I, because it's taken him 10 years to be grieving for that long. But the thing is, Al-Fayed is a very rich man. He's in a position to employ people who can actually talk on his behalf and explain and put a particular picture out there. He's clearly not doing himself any justice in the manner in which he's doing so, and that is where the problem is how the public perceives him now. And I think the conspiracy theories that we've had for many years are now doomed, because he's really dented that.
There's a nice little column here by Julie McCaffrey. Show well worth the 10-year wait, she says, which I think pretty much sums it up all. Tragedy or not, it's remained pantomime. All right, page 31, The Independent, the big question. Why are so many countries opposed to Kosovo gaining its independence? Now, we know that Kosovo declared independence on Sunday, but 48 hours later, there's still questions about who are the parties wanting to stop this, who are those in favor of Kosovo's independence. Timur, can you sum up any of this for us? Because it's a very complicated affair. Who is in favor of Kosovo's independence, as you know?
Well, I think what's notable is the fact that how divisive the issue is within Europe and worldwide. I mean, we have Britain, France, Germany supporting the Declaration of Independence, countries such as Spain, Greece, Bulgaria opposing it, and then on the world stage we have obviously the United States in support, whereas Russia and China are opposing it.
All right, Ayo, how do you see this one?
Well, the major issue is how the International Committee views it all. Clearly there's been a split. But again, the most important key player, which has been the Russians, they've not agreed to it.
Because there's been a blast in Serbia today. Now Kosovo's broken away in that. So there's still tensions here. There might be, some argue, a return to the 1990s violence. We can't have that.
No, we can't. But it's to show how passionate people feel about these things. You can't have, in fact, in many quarters, people are talking about breaking international law. You know, you can't have a group of people within a country breaking away because they disagree with one another. Surely there should be a referendum. Clearly there should be some level of consultation with all relevant partners, and that's been a miss.
But the Kosovans have said, we've tried that. We've been under a UN mandate now for, what, 10 years? Nothing's happening. The Serbs say no. They have to do something, or is this not quite the way? How would you be reading this one?
Well, I think many of the countries that oppose Kosovan independence perhaps have their own fears of secessionism and
so Greece,
separatism.
Spain with the ETA problem,
Absolutely,
the Basque problem.
Yeah.
And besides, you'd be setting a dangerous precedent anyway. So if you were to allow this to happen, then it could happen everywhere else in the world. And what sort of anarchy would we have?
Aya Johnson has spoken. All right, page 34 of the Times. From marijuana to plagiarism, rivals from both sides prey on Obama's dream. Clinton camp accuses rival of stealing speech. Republicans send for Rove to plot their attack. It's getting messy, Timur. It's getting messy. Are the big guns out for Barack Obama?
I think, well, what I'd say that I think it shows is that Hillary's looking, I mean, as Obama perhaps edges ahead, and obviously we've got the Wisconsin results today, she looks like she's getting a bit desperate and resorting to slightly desperate tactics. One Obama aide admittedly said that Clinton was clutching at straws. What's interesting from the Republican point of view is that, yes, I think the big guns are coming out, and we've seen Bush's former strategic advisor Karl Rove issuing a dossier outlining perhaps some of the ways that Republicans could attack Obama.
Isn't this good news, though? Because if they've already decided he might be the man to beat come the November elections, if I were Hillary Clinton, I'd be like, what about me? Attack me. I'm still in the race. Wouldn't you?
Yes, absolutely. And she's on the back foot for once. She was ahead. She lost the lead. She's in a position that she doesn't like, clearly. But Obama, it doesn't really matter whether he uses people's quotes or uses his own. It would be nice if he could actually say that this was quoted by X, Y, and Z. But in principle, he's so much ahead of the game at the moment. All they can do is attack him. And using things about drugs, his drug life in the past, using things like that. It's not very pretty. But we come to expect these in election times. It's part and parcel. It's what makes it all interesting. But I'd like to see how it pans out in the next couple of months.
Well, they're in Hawaii as well, Obama's home state. We're talking about perhaps a place where there might be clear victory for him. We've already seen Chelsea Clinton with her luau's getting ready to campaign on Mommy's behalf. Do you see this being pivotal? Because there are not many caucuses and results at play here. I mean, it's still quite small fries, Hawaii and Wisconsin,
sure,
in the great scheme of things.
And I think Hillary has actually perhaps eased off on those two campaigns in favour of the far more important campaigns in coming months.
Which ones are those? Texas and some of the other big states that are still
absolutely.
left.
Yeah.
With the Dirty Tricks campaign, with this, I mean, we know that's what politics are like. On a final note on this one, do you see things getting uglier before there is any kind of decision one way or another?
Well, it will get uglier, but I think the senior statesmen within the party would have to bring the two of them together and say, come on, you're damaging the party. In the long term, one of you would have to take the lead, one of you would have to back down, and form what sort of relationship we would have as to how we move forward. But it's quite serious. It could get very messy.
Definitely could. We're going to be watching that one. I'm afraid we're going to stop, wrap, and thank our guests right now. They were Timur Moon, he's a journalist, and Ayo Johnson, political analyst and broadcaster. Thank you so very much for watching. You can catch the repeat at 23:34 and 3:34 GMT. Please email your comments to us at bth@presstv.co.uk. That's bth@presstv.co.uk. Join my colleague Michael Dobbs for tomorrow's edition of Between the Headlines. I'm back on Thursday and looking forward to your company then. Good night.